Hello guys. So we have been discussing how to implement like no simple agentic AI program. For that we successfully initiated like Google API from the Gemini model. And also no we have imported like no libraries to execute the agent successfully. For that we are importing like no model, Gemini model, and no tool. Google search is a tool. To execute it we do require like no runner, and also for to specify like input output types we need to import like types. So all these libraries we have imported successfully. As the next step we are going to create like no helper function. It's a built-in function, predefined function, sorry, it's a user defined function. Okay, it's a user defined function. So why do we need it actually? So before we launch any Google ADK's web UI inside Gaggle, actually we need a secure way to access it. So Gaggle doesn't allow like no direct local host access. So we must generate some no proxied URL that uses like no Gaggle network. So basically no we are going to use like no get ADK proxy URL function to solve this problem. So this function is designed to retrieve like no kernel and token details from our running Jupyter server. These details help us generate an authenticated web link. So for that now we are importing this library right from Jupyter server app, import list server, list running servers. So which means it is directly going to fetch like no running Jupyter server details. So we need actually kernel and token information to create like no secure proxy link. So for that purpose, we are just importing this list running server built-in class. Next, in this function, we also define like no HTML button, which means what styled button. So this button will lead us to the ADK interface only after we start the web server in the next cell. If but what happens if we click too early? Then the Gaggle will throw a 500 error. So that's why we also show on a warning message. So this is the warning message it will show. So in order to support this UI utilities, so we are importing like no from ipython.core.display import display comma HTML. So we are actually importing like no UI display utilities. So we need them actually. We need them to show some clickable HTML UI buttons inside the notebook. So all right. So see here. So we are also defining like no proxy host and ADK port. So it's going to give you the base proxy address plus ADK UI port. So these two are required to access like ADK UI in Kaggle, which means what restricted network. So list running servers, actually we need to know like no current Jupyter session settings. So without this, we cannot generate like no valid proxy URL link. So we need to extract like no base URL. This is going to parses like no URL pieces need for secure routing inside the Kaggle. So we want to pass it actually to get the token and everything is required. So next, the HTML block, we have created an instructional UI with a button. So it is going to improve the user experience and avoids like 500 error. And also we are going to using like no display of HTML slide styled HTML. In this way, we are going to render like UI in notebook and makes a button clickable. And it is going to return with the URL prefix. So this is basically a function definition block. So we have defined a function successfully. See, I'm just going to execute it. See. So it runs successfully and you got an output. Helper function is defined. So once this helper is defined, actually, we can use the button at any time. We need to open the ADK interface. So this makes our no, experiment smooth and user friendly.